Speaking of inheritances, the last area we look at in financial planning is estate planning. Now, most people don't even want to think about their estate at this point, and it's certainly very understandable. So that's why if we get basic wills and powers of attorney and those kinds of things in place, that's pretty much all most people need during their accumulation stage of life. But as you get into looking at retirement and all that, then we start to need to hone in on what are your estate desires? What do you want to happen to your stuff when you're no longer here to enjoy your stuff? And the first thing we look at is are there some documents that are needed beyond the basic wills and so on, such as revocable living trusts, insurance trusts, family trust, special needs, etc., etc. There's a lot of different trusts, for example, that can be created to do different things with one's assets. So that's a technique called estate equalization. Each of us right now, I think this year, I think it's 2 million. I have to look it up. We're entitled to an exemption from estate taxation. But depending on how we own assets, if we're married, if all the assets pass to a surviving spouse, the estate exemption, what we can exempt from estate taxation, is wasted at the death of the first spouse. So there's things that we can do to equalize assets, set up family trust, for example, that dramatically minimize estate taxation, if not eliminate entirely. Another tool is life insurance. Earlier I said that life insurance for the breadwinner in a family is a need. Life insurance for estate preservation is a luxury. Meaning, do we want to pay the kind of premiums we need to pay for permanent, i.e. cash value insurance, to protect an estate from taxation? Why? When the person dies, the dollars are there by virtue of the insurance policy, and they're available to pay the estate taxes. Okay. Term insurance doesn't work for this need, simply because by the time we get to that stage in life, the term insurance premiums are so expensive, you can't afford them anymore. So at some point, if an estate's building up, we're going to consider looking at a permanent type of insurance that has a cash value. The cash value will support the premium in the later years. We talked about trusts and all that different thing, and they can do wonderful things, but if you have the wrong person managing the trust, we can create some problems. So one of the things that has to be looked at is who do you want to name as trustees? Do you want it to be someone in the family? Do you want it to be, quote, someone outside the family? How do you want a succession of trustees to play out? Do you want to involve corporate trustees, such as banks? There's advantages and disadvantages. In my opinion, mostly big disadvantages, but they can be useful in some places. And also, relatively simple decisions for people like, well, gee, who do I want to settle my estate? Who's going to be my executor or my executrix? You know, those are important questions. Can the person do it if they're, you know, in the middle of a major career right now, and you know, and it's going to be a challenge? Might it be best going to someone else, a different child in the line, so to speak, down the line, for example? Can't think of any more. There's a lot more stuff to talk about, but I think you get the sense of it. I mean, those are the 7 basic areas of financial planning and why they're important.